Sup? This is Tobes Trades daily market recap. Today is January 1st, but we want to take a look at last week, specifically Thursday, the last trading day of 2020, and see where we're at going into 2021. If you look at the 5-minute chart here, we opened the day relatively flat. Around lunch hour, there's a sell-off. However, power hour came, and then bam, went all the way up. This is for spiders, the S&Ps. The Qs, same story. And near the end of the day, we reached all-time highs. Well, no, not yet, but almost. As we see, all-time highs. Despite all the COVID news, etc., we're still all-time highs. However, in the market, we need to be careful. The market takes the escalator up and the elevator down, right? For example, we look at August. That was the famous gamma squeeze when both the spiders and the VIX jumped gigantically due to the gamma squeeze, and boom, elevator down. However, that's not to say we're at the top yet, right? This chart does not seem overextended to me, despite the fact that there's a lot of negative COVID news, a lot of volatility, especially in regards to the Senate race, elections in the new year, right? That determines a lot for the market. But right now, the market doesn't seem too overextended yet. But just be on the lookout for a flash crash sometime around January, February, once we see this chart overextended. Right? VIX today, well, it was pretty good. Right? It went negative. I mean, it was pretty flat, but I mean, we love to see negatives here, right? However, just beware, because like the weekly chart, we're near the bottom. You don't want to do technical analysis on VIX because it's a derivative, but this is just to let us see that we always want to be on the lookout. Now let's go to individual stocks. Let's go to Fein. Fein overall today, it was pretty flat, honestly. Facebook, not much to say here. Apple, let's look at Apple. Let's look at the daily. Apple broke out of the symmetric triangle recently, right? And now it tested new highs, but it was rejected exactly at the resistance. And we see the pullback. We're probably going to retest around this level, 129. That's the lowest I think it will go. It will go for a retest somewhere here, and then boom, go back up. Amazon, different story, however. It tried to break out just last week of the symmetric triangle. It's been consolidating for quite a few months here. Let's look at the weekly to get a better picture. All the way up, consolidation for quite a few months. And look at this tail. This was around, I think, Monday. It went all the way up here. That was very good, like very good. MACD about to cross, about to break out of the triangle. However, it got rejected. Let's look here. Bam! Bam! It's going to retest probably around this trend line here where this supports, and then I think it will go back up. However, that reject was... It doesn't give us too much confidence because Amazon was one of my best picks yet. It was an excellent setup. If this broke, we would see 3,500, new highs, even 3,700, 3,800, even 4,000. However, that was not a solid break, so we want to be careful going into next week. Netflix, however, a different story. While the rest of the Feins were struggling, this tried to break new highs. We see MACD about to cross. However, the volume, look at the volume, it wasn't too high, right? On big breaks, especially of resistance, we want to see big volume. That means high momentum. However, the volume is not too low either, so this just means we want more information. However, we still want to look out for this consolidation because just like Amazon started consolidating around July. It's been around 5 months, almost a year, right? So this is definitely something to look at. However, Netflix especially, I'm not sure if it belongs in the Fein anymore because there's so much competition in the streaming space now. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, Disney Plus, right? So many different stories. Fubo, right? So, but from a technical perspective, this does really look really good, and we should keep an eye on this on Netflix going into next week. Let's look at Google. Google's pretty flat. Tesla joined the S&P, and bam, went straight up. However, I don't like trading Tesla. It's always too overextended for me. But of course, I'm wrong, and then Tesla just keeps going up, keep going up. At least I'm not shorting it, right? But I don't want to look at Tesla. However, the daily does look pretty good. MACD brought across, reaching new highs. However, be careful. Again, we're expecting some kind of elevator down around in the next few weeks, so watch out. Now let's look at the chips. The chips had a really good day, especially Micron, right? I've been looking at Micron since when? Since around here, right? Around here. I watched for break of 58, 51, around 50, and look for the break. Bam. Break was good. However, let's look at the daily again. It's about to break all-time new highs again. And why is this? Because we're seeing money flow out of the growth stocks, the smaller cap tech growth stocks. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Fiverr. Let's look at the daily on Fiverr. It's been going straight up for quite a few months now, and this is not even that bad. We want to look at Etsy. Now this is overextension, right? This is overextension. Money was all in here, and then bam, last week money came out. It was too overextended. It needs to cool down a bit. Correction. So money flow out of this. See MACD crossing negative, right? Back into Fein. However, we saw Fein, like Amazon for example, fail the breakout. So where's the money now? The money is in chips. We got Micron. Daily chart looks pretty good. About to cross green again. About to break all-time highs. Same story for TSM. This Taiwanese chip maker. Again, right? MACD about to cross green, about to break new time highs. So next week, what am I looking at next week? I'm looking at chips, Micron, TSM, and even Intel. Intel as a company, I think is, unless it does any major revamps of its company, I think Intel is not looking too good. Because this relates back to Apple. Apple making its own chips. If you know anything about chips, there's two types of systems. There's especially for CPUs, right? There's CISC, C-I-S-C, and RISC, R-I-S-C. RISC are the chips used in mobile phones because they're simpler. CISC are the ones used in desktop PCs. However, Apple recently released the new 13-inch MacBook Pro, and that has the A1 chip in it. The A1 chip uses RISC. It's the same type of chips as your phone, and we see RISC dominating the marketplace. And Intel is all CISC. And Intel is in charge of all its R&D and everything. There's a lot of costs associated with it. Whereas TSM, this Taiwanese chip maker, is contract-based. It has these factories that make chips with designs from other firms, right? So we see it be able to adapt very quickly, unlike Intel. AMD, again, I mean, it's all right. It had a minor correction. Now we're at a pretty heavy support here. We also want to look at AMD going to next week. We expect it to go at least to retest the all-time highs from 97. NVIDIA is a different story. NVIDIA not looking good, too good right now. We see this pattern here. It doesn't look good. Remember, if we're trading, especially short term, we want to look at the charts, right? Because that's what everyone else is looking at. If you're a random person, if you're a trader looking at this is not ugly. You want to move away from this. No, there's no money in this yet. Does not look good yet. So there's not going to be any breakouts for NVIDIA for next week, even though the chips are on fire right now. So again, let's look at Fiverr, Etsy. Chewy is something else that's overextended. Bam. You see Etsy and Chewy having almost the same chart. Yeah, these are the lower cap tech growth stocks that have been rising. I mean, a lot of money over the past few weeks, especially December, cashing this drift up. However, again, overextension. It's going to go for a correction. And this is kind of ugly because the comments were saying, right, after this break on 28, everyone was saying, oh, this is it, you know, this pretty big correction. But no, if you look at the chart here, the closest support is actually at all the way down to 80. I'm not saying it's going to go all the way down to 80, but probably we see even lower, right? We don't see any upwards momentum yet. If you look at this tail, right, usually this is I don't know, the green, if you look at the green candle here, as a doji, usually it's a sign of indecision. The next day, the last trading day of 2020, bam, there's no strength, there's no bid under this stock at all. We want to avoid this. We're even go for a short. I went for a short around here. I shorted midday around here, and I covered already. Because we see this kind of break, right? This downward pressure is kind of leaving. However, I don't see, just because downward pressure is leaving doesn't mean the stock's going to go up, right? So that means I cover my shorts. However, I expect this to consolidate even lower around here, probably here, around 80, even like the best case scenario around 85, right? We do a long hammer with a long tail, and then we see like some type of consolidation, right, for a few weeks until the money rotates back into this sector, and then we can see higher ups, probably for a retest of highs. But that's not for a long time. And then we have Chinese stocks. There's Baba, PDD, and Baidu. Let's look at Baba. Baba, oof, gap down on the China news of how China wants to look into Alibaba, well, Jack Ma's Ant Group, right? It says it's too much power, it's unfair to consumers, anti-competitive. It gapped all the way down here. I bought the dip. We buy the dip. However, there was more news that came out on Friday, and the regulators seem to be on a tougher stance than people assumed, because people assumed it just to be a slap on the wrist because the Chinese government is a communist government, right? However, it does recently in the past decade, it has seen a lot more pro-market moves for individual firms, right? Capitalism. However, Ant Group seemed to be too big, and China released a new statement saying how Alibaba needs to fix its anti-competitive policies, and we saw this gap down. However, on the same news, we have PDD. PDD is also a Chinese marketplace. It's the second largest Chinese online e-commerce marketplace. And with Baba news, being bad for Baba, PDD is good for PDD. We saw an 8% gain, 24, 50% gain, 29, and 8% gain again, 12.30. And we see it's breaking to all-time highs. I entered a small trade here Thursday, last trading day of 2020, expecting this to consolidate for a bit. I expect this to continue because usually when you see bullish engulfing candles, it's usually a signal for a continuation for the next day. But now we see an indecision candle. This pretty much means no one knows where it's going, because some bulls might want to take it further up, but some regular investors might want to take some profits. However, we see the MACD is pro-positive, and also the red candle, look at the volume. Volume is almost half as the green bullish engulfing candles. So it means more likely than not, the buying pressure is still there. It's just that it's brief profit taking. Long-term wise, for next week, I expect this to keep going up. Baidu, again, some profit taking. This profit taking is definitely needed, right? We see it go up from the beginning of December to last trading day of December. December alone, we saw it from going from 150 to almost 250, 220. Profit taking is necessary, of course. Just like how we saw after the gap up on 12.15, there's going to be consolidation. Like the banks, there was really good news on banks about a week ago, how the Fed allows the banks to allow buybacks now. So the banks went up on that. We see MACD cross into the financials again. There's a key level here we want to look at. And the next level is probably around here, right? However, the MACD is looking ready to cross green, and we see money rotating out of the tech growth stocks like Etsy, Fiverr, TTD, right? It went back into FANG, but FANG couldn't sustain the growth, so now the money is going to financials. Financials expect good things next week. Now we have airlines, right? Boeing, manufacturer, and Delta. These are the ones I'm looking at. These are looking good as well, right? As we see money rotate out of tech, they can go. Some options are financials and airlines, and these are, as we see, again, this is how the market acts, right? It goes up, tests resistance, consolidates, and it gets ready for the next leg up, right? However, we want to be careful of negative headlines, because even though we're looking good right now, I still would only enter with a small position because of COVID, right? After Christmas, when everyone goes home for New Year's, there is a lot of COVID. There's going to be COVID headlines everywhere for the next few months, for the next few weeks, especially because of how the UK mutated virus is also in the US now, right? As reported. So this is looking favorable, but be careful. Proceed with risk. I will enter with a small position. Visa. Now we have these blue chips: Visa, PayPal, Walmart. Right. These are looking good as well. If you look at the daily, feel Visa is ready to break all-time highs. However, keep in mind there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles in a row. That calls for some profit taking. And we also see this indecision doji with a long tail. That's called hanging man. However, I wouldn't be too concerned. There's probably going to be a 1 or 2 days of consolidation, maybe retest of this tail over here, and then go all the way up. So Visa's looking good for next week as well. PayPal, similar story as the tech growth stocks, right? We should probably group this around here with Etsy, Roku, Piton. Right, we see it overextend and then correct. So I wouldn't touch this any next week either. Lulu. Now Lulu fucked me over. Not fucked me over, but a little bit. So last week when I saw this green hammer, I was like, oh yeah, bam, this is the bottom. But no, continued selling pressure. Next day, so I went out for a tiny loss. But now I'm out again, right? So where do we see Lulu going next week? We still will expect a bounce. I expected a bounce here, but again, anything in the market can change the direction of a single stock, right? There was selling pressure on the market a lot, 1230, so it pushed down the bounce further. However, I don't expect it to go below the 340 level. So if you want to go for an entry here and wait, if your time horizon is about a week or 2 weeks or even a month, I will enter here. I would not expect this to gap down even lower. However, there have been gap downs before. But I expect this to bounce and then retest all-time highs. So that's it. That's everything that's on my watch list for next week. Let me give a quick recap. Again, markets, all-time highs, looking good. Not too overextended yet, but be on the lookout of the VIX. If this spikes, get out. Let's look at Fein. Again, overview, summary. Fein, money try to go into Fein. Try to go for the breakouts of Apple and Amazon. These were both faded. There's a lot of selling pressure. So money is not going to go in here. It's very indecisive right now. If you're an average trader, you look at this, you're like, oh shit, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know. You don't see any direction here. It's probably going to retest around here for a little candle and keep going up. But there's a lot of indecision here. Chips. This is the best sector to look at. Let's go to SMH. SMH is the index fund ETF for chips. We see chips ready to blow, consolidation, ready to break all-time highs. So this chips is my number one watch list for next week. For chips specifically, I recommend Micron and TSM. Intel, don't touch this shit. Horrible company. And then growth stocks like Fiverr, Etsy, PayPal, Roku, Piton, TTD, and Chewy, and Fubo. These don't touch, even though they're kind of low right now, right? There's huge correction. I don't expect this to be the bottom. Even if this is the bottom, there's going to be consolidation. So don't touch this type of category of stocks. Chinese stocks, it wants to cool down for a bit. However, within a couple weeks, I expect this to make new highs. Financials is my second on my watch list right after the semiconductors. Right after chips, we see financials. We expect financials to go up as well. Airlines, it's my third on my watch list. This sector is behind financials. Looks pretty good. However, keep in mind there might be bad news, bad headlines. It might sell off any potential spikes. And then we have large caps like blue chips like Visa, which are gonna break all-time highs. This is pretty good too. And we have Walmart as well. We see Walmart at the downtrend line, and then this is the buy for sure. I'm gonna enter into a Walmart position. Not a big position, but if you look at this long-term trend line, we're at the bottom right here. MACD about to cross. I expect good things from Walmart as well. So that's it. Welcome to 2021. And that's the recap of last day of 2020. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I'll try to respond to you the best I can. And good luck trading, guys. Remember, number one way to profit is to manage your risk. Have a good 2021, and I'll see you the next trading day. Peace out.